Hey guys, welcome to the Psy Tai Podcast number 32. Yes, we made the 32 episodes. So what we got today is some not so well-known history on LSD and like the whole company that was developing it. And so we're going to tie on that because a lot of people just know about Albert Hoffman and then Timothy Leary, and then it just goes on from there. But we're going to see what was really happening. Also, I have an article on some couples that are in marriages, married people that are participating in psilocybin mushroom therapy sessions or participating in ceremony sessions in order to heal their relationships. So let's see what they got. Let's see what they do. Let's cue that intro. Bang. Alright guys, we back. Hey, hopefully y'all having a wonderful morning, evening, night, midnight special, whatever time this is coming at you. Take this energy, now that we all in the same boat, we can start the conversation. Yes, guys. Hey, the Psy Tai Podcast does not promote the use of illegal or legal drugs. This is for educational purposes only. What you do with your body is what you do with your body. Do not recreate anything that you hear on this channel. So, hey, guys, let's keep it going. Let's keep it grooving, man. It's nice day. But I gotta say, drop a like, subscribe to this video if you like what you see, and if you want to see more, leave some comments. If you find some ways that I can improve on the show. If you want to be a part of the building of this channel, just let me know. Just tie is when you combine your mind with your heart, connect those two circles, and you let whatever come out just come on out. You dig me? And just so, man, but that's how it is over on this side. And we're here to break the stigmatism on psychedelics and lessen it, and also help people in their journey of awakening. And what I mean by that is people are fully realizing themselves and realizing that they were told a lot of lies growing up. So we're here on this channel to bang, set this story a little bit more curvier. And now we're not going to set the story straight, because no truth, every truth is but a half truth. But we're going to go out here and we're going to do and just start the tie-versation. That's what a tie-versation is. It's a real conversation, because it's talking from the heart and the mind. So we're going to jump into this first article, and we're going to have some fitty fun and learn along the way. Learn a little something. All right, let's find the first actual. There we go. This is from Prohibited Culture. We got a cool picture of two farmers. Y'all know the classic picture y'all see up in the art studios, but they trippified it out for those listening. Like the lady has her tongue sticking out with a circle tab. Well, not even a tab, a blotter tab, but just a circle happy tongue going it. The guy got the little crystal glasses and the tie-dye t-shirt. Is the UFO in the background. This is legit. This is a cool picture. But you're going to see what this is really about. Timothy Leary received his first dose of LSD in 1961 from the legendary mayonnaise jar of Captain Al Hubbard, a mysterious businessman, inventor, and alleged CIA operative. Hubbard's mayonnaise jar contained more than 5,000 hits of LSD. Woo-wee! Lysergic acid dimethylide dissolved in ice and sugar. So what did he put it on? Cake or something? In 1955, he had brought a gram of pure LSD from its inventors and sole U.S. supplier Santos Pharmaceuticals of Basel, Switzerland, who supplied it for scientific research under the brand name Delcid. Within a few years, acid fueled a revolutionary counterculture, and then President Nixon called Leary the most dangerous man in America. History has remembered LSD as the creation of one man, Albert Hoffman, and that's why we got this, because a lot of people attribute things to one person when it's really always a team. It's always a team backing up the one person, but history always remembers the few. We're going to set the story straight, because we all here, we all connected. The more we learn about ourselves and our history, the more we're going to be able to live closer to truth. Alright, so it says history. Albert, the Sandoz chemist who first synthesized it in 1938, who took the world's first acid trip in 1948 on the bike. That's why they got Bicycle Day and things like that. In his 1978 memoir, LSD, My Problem Child, Hoffman wrote that the investigations on ergot alkaloids that led to discovery of LSD were conducted by myself alone. Like, that's what he wrote. People get arrogant. By the time of his first trip, Sandoz had embarked on an experimental alone. However, his laboratory work was only a small part of a large-scale company-wide operation. Research into ergot, the toxic fungus from which LSD was synthesized, had begun many years before Hoffman joined the company. By the time of his first trip, Sandoz had embarked on an experimental program for large-scale ergot cultivation, and during the 1950s, they developed new techniques and machinery to ramp up its productions to industrial levels, feeding the fast-growing global demand for LSD. Wow. So this was in the 1950s. He did in 19. So it was a whole company. It was a whole company research, planning all this out and doing these things like this. That's the thing about LSD and psilocybin mushrooms. Okay, sorry about that. I had to get this stuff in order. But we back in it. The ergot project had originally been the brainchild of Hoffman's boss, Arthur Stahl, the director of pharmaceutical research at Sandoz, who had isolated the first alkaloid drugs back in 1921. So Arthur Hoffman claims it was done in 1938, but he first isolated these alkaloids in 1921. That's all. That's something to tie about. That's something to really tie about. A whole 17 years before. But let's keep it going. Stoll had been attracted to it by its long and fascinating history that was familiar since medieval times, both as a deadly poison and as a folk medicine. That's why check out the Psy Tai live stream that I made around Halloween time on the Salem witch trials, and I had some articles and I was giving my I was tying on what was going on during that time, during the ergot poisoning, the ergot that was being found in the rye bread around that time, and that being the causes of a lot that was going on. So, hey man, this is all happening. This is real. This is real. Your reality is realer than what you can even think about right now, but let's keep going. Alright, ergot is a fungus. Let's see what ergot actually is, what they say. Ergot is a fungus that grows as a parasite on rye, coating its seed heads with a black crust or serotonin. Bread made from infected rye gave rise to epidemics of the disease traditionally known as St. Anthony's fire, and later described by doctors as egotism. It is a terrifying array of symptoms, includes seizures, psychotic disturbances, and a dry gangrene that can cause fingers or toes to lose sensation and rot away. Gangrene and rot away. The last symptom is a response to his vasoconstrictive properties, which tighten arteries and stop blood flow. This was the basis for the use of ergot, in early medicine, especially obstetrics. It produces urine contractions and was used to speed up childbirth or trigger abortions. Woo! So it went from speeding up childbirth to halting the childbirth completely. This is some kind of medicine. This is some kind of plant. This gave it the German common name Motterkorn. Motterkorn, mother's corn. That'd be a cool band name. Like a metal band name or something, man. Stoll studied the history of ergot and wrote about it in a book. In 1936, he assigned Albert Hoffman to investigate its chemistry at the Sandoz lab. The endo-alkaloids it contains, including the vacuum, constrictor, blah blah blah. They were all isolated many years previously, were all based on lysergic acid, and an unstable compound that Hoffman was tasked with turning into medically useful forms. So they didn't really know what they was working with. They isolated it, and they knew it was going to have some potential, but they didn't really. It was Albert Hoffman who was the one that really like got it to the form that we recognize it in today. And he see the useful form, the medical useful form, when he accidentally took it. I guess this is a whole lesson on where ergot is. Everybody's talking about how the rye farmers typically regarded it as a blight that ruined their crop, because egg farmers like, I ain't eating that. Small amounts were produced agriculturally in the Emmertal Valley in mid-Switzerland, where it flourished in a relatively humid climate. Its use in Sandoz laboratories was tightly controlled. Hoffman remembers Stroll admonishing him for ordering even as little as a gram. When I needed to adopt microchemical procedures if I was to work with his costly substance. When Hoffman first synthesized LSD in 1938, a small quantity was extended on animal testing, which demonstrated no peculiar vasoconstriction properties. So testing began on the next compound. So they did test it small on animals. Them studies probably leaked out a little bit. I do have one, at least recently they was doing MDMA on octopuses and things like that. So you know they gonna do it, man. It says by the time, during the war, Sandoz began to, this is just more talking about how the company was producing rye plants so that they can come up, so that they can mess with LSD, well, whatever alkaloid they was trying to come up with out of the rye. So they was just growing a lot for themselves, so they have a lot to work with and had to order it, like they were saying in that paragraph above. And talking about how it was a success. In 1947, psychiatrist Stahl, Arthur's son, conducted a series of self-experiments with LSD in which he experienced euphoria and vivid hallucinations. He recommended it for further clinical research as a psychiatric medicine. So this whole like this company was so excited once Albert Hoffman like got it out there and really was seeing what it was about, and they were about to capitalize on their discovery, I guess, until Richard Nixon shut that all down with the drug administration, because it was not wanting people to go to war and do all this other tasking things. By now, Sandoz was gearing up for large-scale production. Working together with the machinery engineers Butcher Gare, they designed a multi-needle gun to incinerate rye heads with ergot spores and a special tractor to harvest them. The project was conducted with government approval under wartime protocols of secrecy. Photos in the Sandoz archives show the ergot farmers gathered on the platform of a local train station with their crop. Large stacks of covered grain ready for shipment to Basel and to Sandoz laboratory. Wow, so the government was backing this. This is what be getting to me, because the government put the drug administration out there and they said that they did it for these reasons, but yet they were still experimenting with these substances themselves. So it's things that they probably was getting into that I don't know, just conspiracy feel, but they just don't want people to know. They want the control. They want the control. That's why we gotta break the stigmatism and learn things for ourselves. Dalside, the brand name for LSD, was the only one of the Sandoz products for which the ergot was destined. There was also methods keep getting to me. Let me say methergine, a drug developed for ergot's traditional use for slow breeding childbirth, and hygiene, a medication for improving circulation and brain function in the elderly that became a bestseller. Oh, so this was a bestseller. This stuff was all out on the streets. It was called methergine and hydergine. Methergine and hydergine. The hydergine was for improving circulation and brain function, and methergine is for slowing down childbirth, so it can be a little less painful, or a lot less painful without getting an epidorphal. And possibly going paralyzed because the doctor missed. They were hugely excited by his potential, said Tom Lee. By the late 1950s, they were predicting that with LSD, the cipher of the mind will be broken within 5 years. Even with the new agricultural production that struggled to grow enough ergot to meet the demand, there are letters requesting lysergic acid from Italy and asking other pharma companies like Eli Lilly whether they had any stocks to spare. Delside remained a research chemical rather than a fully developed product. Sandoz was unsure of the doses and applications that should recommend for it and supplied samples free to psychologists in return for feedback on how it was being used. All this was going on in the 50s already. By the 1960s, this freewheeling strategy was getting harder to sustain. In the US, the FDA rules meant that drugs had to be submitted for standard testing before human trials were permitted, and their intended use needed to be specified in advance. And when they be way in advance, man. At the same time, the growing interest in LSD as a tool for conscious expanded undermined attempts to establish it as a pharmaceutical drug. And that's what Timothy Leary like saying tune in and drop out and things. That kind of did muck up a lot of things because it made people not want to pursue like stuff here. They just wanted to be us as a people just wanted to go into hyperspace and think that everything was based off of love and not wanting to face our own fears really head on. So sugarcoating a lot of stuff. So the pharmaceutical potential went down a lot because the psychiatrists and the people that want to do the laws, they's like, oh no, we seeing how people out there doing it, and the results from them doing it is they're not really dealing with their problems, and that's what this really has to be about. But the psychiatrist that was dealing with that and the LSD at the same time was probably so upset because he was like, oh come on, like it's actually this could be for so much more worthwhile adventure if you actually use it alongside therapeutic techniques and dealing with the mind and the subconscious mind and how things play out. Just think about these things. This is a dope article. Because I didn't know any of this. Did you? If so, say so in the comments. If not, say so in the comments as well. Okay, so let's get back into this. By the late... Next page. Timothy Leary. Next page. The final straw came in January 19. Timothy Leary, his mind blown. Yeah. Wow, yeah. So Sandoz, after this Timothy Leary, he came out and everything. And Sandoz contacted the FDA for approval, which is the company that wanted to get it out there for pharmaceutical reasons. But a license wasn't granted, and they refused to supply the order. Their patent on LSD expired the same year. Oh, that's what happened. Let me actually read that sentence, guys, because I'm probably reading like, what? The final straw came in January 1968 when Timothy Leary, his mind blown by Hubbard's mayonnaise jar, ordered 500 grams of Dowsid from Sandoz, enough for several million doses. And they said several, not just 7. Several million doses. In 1968, in 1965, Sandoz officially stopped production and distribution with a statement that LSD had in some parts of the world become a serious threat to public health. However, the ergot farmers of the Emmental had by now seeded acid around the globe. It was already taking over, baby. As Dels's stocks dried up, new producers picked up the slack. That year, And Octavius Osley Stanley brought his first tranche of precursor chemicals and began home manufacturing LSD for Ken Kesey, the Merry Pranksters, and the Grateful Dead. So this is how it got around from this guy, Algotis on AOS. Let's call him AOS. He was making it his own, and he was the Grateful Dead. They used to say that if you wanted to find some LSD in your area, look for the Grateful Dead concert, and you was bound to find some. Bang. And then he said, and that's that article. So that was pretty dope. That's pretty dope. We learned some cool things. I learned some cool things on how LSD was about to be all big out there, and really be how I see it in my vision now as actually helping people deal with their everyday lives, and having a community to help them with it, instead of just going at it and doing it, having to figure out everything on their own. Because you experience and you know things, but when you come back into baseline reality, integration can be pretty difficult if you never had the proper tools of how to be a nice person. Not even good or bad, but how to be a nice person. If you never had those tools in the first place, you're not going to know how to work it out. It's going to be frustrated. And then on top of all the things that we are given that we're so used to, we're not going to want to give it up or have a real good reason. So there's going to be a lot of confusion going on. That's when a lot of people get angry and then bring up a lot of stuff, a lot of more demons in them things. And then that's what ruins the stigmatism even more, when really it was just somebody that didn't go talk to a friend. Then go talk to a friend and was just thinking that they were alone in this world, because the stigmatism is so hard placed on it that they feel as though they can't talk about anything like this. So please like this video, share. We on the Instagram, we on the Twitter, we on the Facebook at Tai_now, or just Tai Now, TAI, not THI like the food. So that's what it is. I love you. See you there, man. So, yep. Yep. All right, but I got some time. I'm gonna go into the next article. Wait. Yeah, this one was pretty lengthy, so we're going to tie a little bit on this, but this is about ancient motifs and psychedelic experiences. Actually, we're going, yeah. Let's do this. Let's go through this. And this was released September 22nd, 2013, by Sam. Hey, Sam. Hey, thanks for this. And he's saying, people commonly report a distinct cultural theme to a visual aspect of their psychedelic experience based on the patterns and images seen, either with eyes open or closed. People may compare them to art and style of many ancient cultures: Egyptian, Aztec, Indian, Native American, African, and Arabic. Particular ancient cultural motifs may also characterize particular drugs for magic mushrooms. What they're trying to say is most people that are going into, including myself, going to these psychedelic realms are, when you come out, you see, when you look at the ancient architecture, like they, like you see here, the Mayan calendar, you see that, you see those images. You see exactly those. So I guess this guy wants to see how it compares. Like, here goes some ancient, this is from ancient Mayans. These are some ancient mushrooms. Y'all can see it's mushrooms. It has been established that in ancient culture they use a particular plant for spiritual religious purposes. The herbs and things like that. It was more than just frankincense and herbs, Christians. It was way more than that. These guys were ingesting substances and really communicating with the spirit realm, with themselves, with what was inside of themselves that is really outside at the same time. And that's just my spin on it. But these cultures, that's what they was doing. These are some cool pictures. Wow, that is amazing. Yeah, he's saying we may interpret them as being Aztec-like because we know about Aztec art. That's what we grew up looking at. So we say, oh, that's what the Aztecs was making. But this is probably what the Aztecs was looking at as well when they was in their trips. And they was like, we didn't originate this kind of art. You hear a lot of stories about how they say language, art, the way agriculture, math, or science, it came from the gods. You hear this in a lot of indigenous culture. They say our knowledge was given to us by the gods. The way we talk was given to us by the gods. Our art was given to us by the gods. And I think that's just a spin on words of them going into these realms on psychedelic plants and seeing these things and bringing it back. It's awesome things to look at. It's awesome things to just tie about. Just think about it. Just tie. Then again, It say casual mushroom and mescaline users today may be seeing the same sort of images which contribute to the birth of a culture. Because remember, the most ancient indigenous culture, just like now, our culture is built around the art that it produces. But right now, the art that we're producing is like so much mass production stuff that is just cheap and out of the way, man. But then if we focus on these indigenous cultures, that's what they were all about. Their art is them. Their art is their culture. It has stories into it. It has emotion, expression. It gets them through things. It protects them. Their expression is real. It's alive. And that's what and that's what births culture. The different cultures have their own sense of art. Y'all know this. With DMT, it seems the motifs from ancient cultures can be recognized. One of the most interesting motifs belongs to a culture of ancient India, especially in relation to its ancient spiritual instruments used to focus the mind on spiritual concepts. The yantra is thought to call the deity into presence. And yes, one of the instruments is like one of the bowls. If you ever see the bowls, and they got a stick that they go around the bowl like this, and it makes a humming sound like boo, boo, boo. I can't do it. My throat was really dry. And I'm out of almond milk. Yo, you can't see my green cup. You shouldn't. But yes, this is one of the instruments, and there's also other instruments and mantras and repeating things, repeating like the same 5 words in your head of an affirmation or something that just gets you in tune with a certain part of your body and with vibration in life. And I believe these are made from sand. That picture that you see right there, that mandala, is made from sand. And the monks really make that out of memory. According to the tantric symbols, yantras function as relatorily symbols of the cosmic truths and as instrumental charts of the spiritual aspect of human experience. Although the yantra is usually depicted in 2 dimensions, it is often conceived of as being multi-dimensional. So what you see there is actually a multi-dimensional object. You can visualize it in 3D dimensions as it, like, if you pull it out and then it like has walls and everything, but then you can't even imagine this. But if you just let your mind be, if you keep pulling it out, you pull it into the 4-dimensional field, into the 5th-dimensional field, and that's what they're really visualizing when they make this into the 2D field. They're like, oh man, this is the basic representation of what I'm experiencing, what I'm seeing right now. So when you're looking at things like that, like these awesome pictures, try your best to at least try to visualize it in 3D, because that's what they are at least doing too. Just a way to appreciate art. And this is cool. You can find the Just Tai symbol in this. The best representation of the mandala can be found in Tibetan Buddhist Tengah painting. In the Tibetan branch, they talk about mandalas created through delicate and focused sand painting. Yeah, I was saying it's made through sand. It's an important spiritual practice. This is cool. I don't really want to go through everything. I just want to show some cool art. And this is kind of the jester experience, and how people in the DMT world, they literally see materialized jesters and things. I'm not gonna go too deep into that right now. Why they manifest during the DMT experience, I do not know. Is what a lot of people say. And jesters been around since ancient Egypt times, and we still see them now inside of the circus tents. The jesters usually are the ones that's running the whole show. I went to a circus last summer, and I was looking at the jester and what he was up to and what he was really doing and how he was coordinating things. Pretty cool. And people see deities. They see Indian deities. Even if they're not into Hinduism, they see probably Shiva or these manifestations and things like that. And that's that right there. So thanks, Sam Wolfie. Thank you. Let's give him some clap around. And before I go into the last article, that is going to be about psilocybin research or couples that are participating in psilocybin ceremonies and is healing their marriages. I have some awesome art by my one of my cool close friends, Clockwork, on Instagram. Please check out his artwork right now. He's traveling around the world and around India and Thailand and all these awesome things. He's a dear friend of mine. So I'm gonna show him some of his artwork, and if y'all ever have some artwork that y'all want me to talk about or show like I'm about to do now, just send them at justtinow@gmail.com or at any of the social sites, and I got y'all. We got us. That's what it is. We got us. So here we go right here. Look at that. This one is called Fishing for Dreams. This is actually a collab art with Ash and Art. It's an acrylic with spray paint, and this is pretty dope. He got the moon, the lady fishing on the island. And that fish is awesome. Got the spawns coming out, rainbow, and the way that tree is just. I love the pink, the pink on the outside, and then it goes into the blue. The pink is like a frame. And that moon with the one apple. I see the one apple. That's cool. I'm gonna show more of appreciation. I'm not gonna really describe it that much. I want to more just appreciate. Nope, hold on. I should have some more. Here it goes. Got the one with the moon. I like this one a lot. Wait, it just went back. Sorry, guys. We got this together. There we go. We got the moon. We got the moon swallowed with the whole universe inside of his mouth. So what dimension is he in? And he just dripping out. That's dope. That's nice. Again, this is by Clockwork on Instagram. Check him out. And we got one more. I got one more picture. All right. Got the monkey. The monkey just chilling like, what's up? What's good? And then we have a bean made of these black lines and other faces in there as well. Oh, this is cool. Monkey's an astronaut monkey. This is cool. And then the guy has words written in it like, fuck, I love to. We got 67, I lost, 666, lost, at symbols, 215, 678, 27788. That's cool. I love it. That's dope. So give it up for Clockwork. Alright. And we got the last article for today. Thanks for sticking around. If you stayed this long, please drop a like on this video. And we're going to talk about couples using magic mushrooms. The couples using magic mushrooms as relationship therapy. It was like we could see each other's souls. Once a month, Fern, 32, and her fiance, 25. So this is a 25-year-old and a 32-year-old. Boy, Fern and Connor. Okay? Set aside some time to devote to their relationship. They'll dim their lights of They'll dim the lights of their one-bedroom flat, wrap up together in a soft blanket, light some candles, turn off their phones. But this isn't a prep for an extensive session of Netflix and chill. This is a special routine for a new type of couple therapy, tripping on fungi. They could have came up with like a Netflix and chill, eat shrooms, be revealed. Something like that. Eat shrooms, be revealed. I'll come up with one by the end of the podcast. But this is pretty cool because a lot of couples spend years on therapy. A lot of couples spend years on therapy, or they break up, or they just stay miserable together. My own grandma and great-great-grandma and great-great-grandpa, they never officially divorced, but they didn't live in the same house together. And even to their oldest age, they lived in a retirement home across the room from each other, but they had their own apartment, but their apartment was across the floor from each other. So it's a lot of things that happen in life. And magic mushrooms is helping people on a personal level. That personal level also involves their ties and relationships to their environment and the people around them. So, when it comes to relationships, why would it not help? Let's just tie on this. Magic mushrooms have been a part of human culture, and this is from broadly.vice.com. That's where this article is from, broadly.vice.com. Magic mushrooms have been a part of human culture for thousands of years. Yep. Long before all this fell down a rabbit hole. And then, in more recent years, they have been scrutinized more closely for mental health. That's what we talk about. Researcher shows not just depression, but it's showing that consuming them can bring them on spiritually significant experience. That's what and that can bring about long-term changes to behaviors and values associated with being open for once. A lot of people are not open. In other words, people are they're becoming more openness. A lot of people becoming a lot more open. Sorry, I had to jump back into this again. But a lot of people are becoming more open. That's what a lot of you see in the world is the exact opposite is becoming. A lot of people are becoming more inclusive, more introverted, and virtual reality and video games and all these other things are so awesome, but they must be used as tools and not as crutches, not as ways of experiencing this life only. Like if you spend a lot of hours a day doing something during the week, that's days that you spend doing something in another place instead of operating things and doing things with your own body. So man, don't get too lost in the sauce. But it's all coming from us being hurt and not wanting to be open. We don't want to be open. So now with magic mushrooms and everything, we're able to do these kind of things. So let me just get back into this instead of ranting. But it's all good. I'm just tired. I'm not ranting. In other words, people on mushrooms can be more sensitive to feelings and more accepting of other people's views. So that's the premises of how this article is setting itself up before they dive into Fern, who's the characters? Fern and Connor. Fern, a neuropath, and Connor, a furniture maker, first used magic mushrooms together after they had been dating for a year. Fern had become familiar with the world of psychedelic therapy through her work with alternate plant medicines. I've met people who use them like you would yoga or meditation as a regular practice for self-care and self-exploration, Fern says. We didn't do it for recreation, although it can be fun. We wanted to learn about each other. Oh, that's beautiful. That is beautiful. My experience as well, that can be beautiful. Connor and I also set an intention, and our first intention for the first trip was to trust the medicine and what it can show you, she continues. At first, I felt these warm flushes all over my body and became hyper aware of the limbs and hairs on my body, as well as the textures and ambiance around me. This shared energy and connection created a bubble for us to see everything about each other, and we laughed and laughed like children. Oh. It felt like every sensation was something I was feeling for the first time as we ran our fingers over each other's bodies. And we're going to keep diving into this, because this is not like somebody is just doing some crack or something and they saying, oh wow, when I was touching your body, oh, it felt so good. We're going to see how much deeper down the rabbit hole, down the tie hole this goes. During the trip, says Fern, the couple started to look subjectively at their own and each other's lives. I started to see the events of my life not from an emotional perspective, but as facts. This is your life. These are things that have happened. This is your role in them. This is how others around you have been affected. I realized the length I've gone to suppress certain negative thoughts and feelings, and by acknowledging that, I could release them. Woo, that is a beautiful poem. That is some beautiful poetry. Oh, thanks, my dear. I'm gonna put this in my hair. Get a nice blue jay feather. All right, thanks, sweet. All right, the couple found that during the trip, they felt more connected and had an increased understanding of each other. We were cuddling and it felt like we were melting into each other. It was like we could see each other's souls, says Fern. You discover each other's troubles and fears and don't judge them. Like, by being able to dive into the other person's mind, experience the other person's psyche and world, you see how they're living their life, and then you're able to be nice. Just Ty. And I can personally say this because I've been in a relationship for the past 5-6 years, and I have a daughter that's now 4 years old. And magic mushrooms, I could say I can attribute to me being an integration of the experience as well. Me being as the best version that I can be in this situation. The best version in this moment of time. It's as if I would have been somewhere else doing something else that probably my daddy taught me, or probably how my daddy wrote, or probably living out the sins of my father, as they say. You know what I'm hitting at? So let's go. Let's talk more about this life-changing awesomeness. All right. And don't judge them. People are so judgmental. People are so judgmental, especially when they old and they've been married for a long time. Those old married couples, if they're not happily in love, they're real judgmental of each other. But they like, oh, this is how it is. We love each other. They understand the love, but still they're not able to express it like during the first 5, 10 years of marriage. Y'all see how you see the story all the time. That's why a lot of people are scared away from marriage, because like it's no talking about anything. People just judging. I can't talk about things that I want to talk about, because things don't have to be so black and white. Marriage is not just what people have been saying for years and years and years, but it all starts with having a real conversation. And magic mushrooms is allowing people to talk and not judge the other person, so they're really able to be open and accept the love that the other person has given them, as well as become loved so much that they're able to now give it out. And those are all some like cliche spiritualist terms, but what it means is what we are reading. So, just Ty. All right, let's get to the next one. Dr. Rose Watts is a clinical psychologist at the Imperial College London who guided patients through their first trip for a recent trial looking at the effects of magic mushrooms on depression. People develop ways of avoiding certain thoughts and feelings, but during the dose, our patients would be completely flooded by them. You can't escape them. Like I was saying about the prisoners doing ayahuasca, and people saying, oh, we don't want to give the prisoners ayahuasca. That's a luxury. They just getting high. No. People, she says, this was overwhelming and sometimes scary, but it also gave them an opportunity to work through these feelings and confront them. Over half the patients in the trial experienced significant improvements. This is not a quote. Half the patients in the trial experienced significant improvements in their depression, through changes to how they connected with others and how they process their emotions. One of the two key themes was that of going from disconnection to connection with others in the world around them, Dr. Watts explained. And others was about going from avoiding emotion to accepting it. And boy, oh boy, if y'all was part of that last live stream, that was what my last trip was showing me myself again. Like, we always continuously growing, but I'm testify that my last trip was just as so. He was going in and out of connections. I was going in and out when I was laying down. I was in another world, thinking about the thoughts, and when I was walking around, I was just in it. I wasn't in my thoughts. I was just in the world, and whatever emotion was up, emotion was happening. I'm gonna have that story coming for y'all soon. I'm putting it together in a real creative way. All right. It says they got in blue. The normal sense of self is broken down and replaced by a sense of reconnection. And avoiding emotion, what they were saying. Yeah, you just accept it. Like, sometimes we cut our thoughts off from going down a certain train that we like, all right, that's going to drive me crazy. But this allows you to just say, all right, let's keep that train going. Let's keep that train riding. You cool. You all right. We got some breakfast, lunch, and dinner for you. 6 months after the study, every attached patient also reported positive benefits into their romantic relationships. During the trip, they would have revelations about how important their partner was to them, says Dr. Watts. One man went to dinner with his wife for the first time in 6 years. He said they were like teenagers again. This change was also noticed by their partners. They reported that their partners was more open to them, more able to express emotion, and more willing to have deep conversations after the experience. Like, sometimes when you have an argument, like, that's the difference between cannabis sometimes and mushrooms. Cannabis will have you just say, all right, it's all good after the argument, and just touch a little bit. Magic mushrooms will have you just keep talking it out until you like, wow, there's no more need to talk about that anymore, because it's all released. Talking is a releasing. This whole world is for us to release things in. But that's just a Thai thought. And the more openness and everything, like, this is pretty dope. I love that. They reported, and the guy that they didn't bring is 6 years though. Like I said, people be together for a long time, and they just go into these molds and fit into these vibes, and they say this is the way life is. And that's why industries, I believe, like the porn industry and all these other ways that media is using to get our attention. Sex does sell, but it doesn't have to sell in the way, it doesn't have to get you in a way that is getting the millions of people out here, and it's in ways that we don't even noticing. Like, the way that you dress is probably because you saw an Instagram post or saw some beautiful lady dressed like that, or a handsome man dressed like that. It's a lot going out here, and I like to stay creative and stay in my own zone flow for that. But blah 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 blah. Enough about me. How the Burke A London-based psychotherapist and couples counselor says, "What did she say? I need to know what she said." Oh, wow. I have this ad taking over the picture. So we're not going to really know what she said. But she was talking about they also often feel a feeling of transcendence, as we were saying before, and ego dissolution. Oh, it went away. Cool. People who take mushrooms, ego dissolution. And Dr. Carhart Harris, the head of psychedelic research at Imperial College, writes that the temporary ego delusion that people experience on psychedelics means that the normal sense of self is broken down and replaced. I'm sorry, it throws me off. Oh, I don't even have that. I guess it's replaced. It's replaced by a new sense of self, a new sense of, oh, this is what I can be, this is what I wish to be from this point now. This is what I always told people who I was, but I was just a little irritated, or this world was just getting to me, or I'm just depressed. Depression is real. It's a real barrier. It's a real barrier. People always say, "Oh, suck it up." No, it's way more than that. It deals with the chemicals in your body, spirit, everything. And magic mushrooms deals with the chemistry in your body. It deals with all of that. But let me see if I finish this first. Oh yeah, it jumps into a new part. Yeah, it really does all of that. So we're going to get into this. It says, this is the second part of the article. This is pretty lengthy, but we're going to really tie on this. So thanks for still being here. Eric, 38, runs an advocacy group for the therapeutic application of psychedelic plants. He and his wife, Rose, 27, started taking mushrooms together quite soon after they met. Early on in our relationship, we confronted many different scenarios through tripping. Past relationships and emotional wounds from childhood all came to the surface, says Eric. Through taking mushrooms together, we went on a journey healing wounds from my past. My best friend passed away in a car accident when he was 16. And through communication with magic mushrooms, I confronted the pain and that I've held around that for around a decade. Through sharing that experience with her, we both reached a deeper understanding and acceptance of each other and each other's past. Because we all have to accept each other's past. The pain doesn't just go away and get covered by flowers. I guess it does get covered. It gets merged with flowers, but the pain is still there. Just imagine like this, the scarecrow, but it's in a field of daisies. But this is cool because a lot of people don't understand where people come from. A lot of people don't understand where people be coming from and stuff. It said first it brought us really close, then it tore us apart. Dun dun dun. A lot of people be holding up fronts in relationships, and then when the walls get torn down, you see what's really going on. So let's see how tight love is today. Confronting the past rather than letting it manifest in your relationship is something that Heidi Burke tackles often with her clients. A massive step in couples therapy is looking at our own past rather than saying it's all about... Alright, I got this. It's all about the other person, she says. You have to look at what they're bringing to the party, even though it's hard. It's necessary to sort through what belongs to the relationship and what doesn't, and make peace with it. I say this all the time, guys. I say this all the time, and check out these previous Psy Tai Podcast, the live streams, all of that. Just if you want some more in-depth information on how I tie on these situations. Just if you want it. You don't have to. Eric believes that the integration of mushrooms into his marriage has been key to creating a happy relationship. It's not to say all mushrooms-inspired revelations necessarily work in favor of the relationship. One of the patients in the study said that she had been in a relationship that had felt wrong for some time, but it wasn't wasn't until after the trip she felt enough self-esteem and confidence in her ability to cope on her own to actually end that relationship and move on, said Dr. Watts. And this is where you get all out of the hippy dippy talk and you get to the realness that a lot of people are in relationships that they don't want to be in the first place, because they probably got into that based off of social pressure, peer pressure. And what I mean by social pressure, all the way down to how TV plays out relationships supposed to be set up and play out and things, when really people have a whole nother life and things put out in their head. And sometimes not everybody is compatible for lifetimes to be together for 50, 100 years. It just works out like that. But when you convince yourself otherwise, hey, you get trapped, depressed, you go out and do things to hurt your partner unnecessarily. People go out and cheat. That's hurt, like all of these things that comes out of all these things being buried deep inside and not being released and opened about it. So let's get back into this. Where did we leave off? Oh yeah, we're on the next page. Dan 35 experienced this from the other side. First tripping on mushrooms brought us really close, but then it tore us apart. He said, we were engaged, but during the trip, my boyfriend had a revelation that he had been lying to himself and to me. Whoa, for Fern and Connor, though, mushrooms have become a monthly ritual they both feel is integral to the health of their relationship. It's not that we wouldn't be as close as we are without doing them, said Fern. It's just that it could have taken us years to get there. It really feels like you're getting 10 years of counseling in one night. Cool. So you see the polarity, and that's where just talking comes in. Cause at least now nobody's hurt, nobody killed each other in the end, nobody beat up each other, no domestic violence, any of that. None of that is all out the window. All the murders and everything, it's all out. And talking about how they grow all around the world, and they shouldn't be taken lightly. That's what Dr. Watts is saying. We say that we go over that. If we can get through the research, though, then people who need them for therapeutic purposes will hopefully one day be able to get them. Yeah, because they're saying they gotta be in a safe setting, because setting is all things, or it can be like one of the worst nights of your life, or just the day that you confront everything inside of yourself all at once. And there's people out here that go walking around and never confront parts of themselves, and that, so you just gotta be prepared. But hey guys, that was an awesome journey. For last time, before I do this, please share the page and check us out on the Instagram, the Twitter. Just Ty now, TAI, not THI, like the food. And I'll be happy to talk to anyone at any time, anywhere, any place. But that's been pretty awesome, guys. If y'all got anything y'all want to keep talking about, just drop it in the comments below. But until next time, we all tie. But do we really tie? Sometimes, I don't know, dude. Sometimes I really don't know. Check out the Discord in the link below so we can stay communicated. Probably start having a voice chat so we can chat on here, since I can't go live at the same time. So we're going to work everything out. And if you'd like to be a part of this channel, you already are just by watching it. But if you'd like to be more a part of it, let me know. Till next time, whoop, Ty always. Adios.